my first AEW show in Chicago, Illinois. Me and the wife were lucky enough to drop the kids off at Grandma and Grandpa's so we could have a night alone, childless, in Chicago. This February 2nd was that really, really big snowstorm. Originally, we were planning on driving to Michigan City and taking the South Shoreline in and then taxiing around Chicago. We saw the storm coming, so we decided to switch to the Amtrak. So we are from West Michigan, and so we were going to take the Amtrak from Kalamazoo to Chicago. And because the snow was so bad that day, we missed our first train, and then we had to reschedule it. So we got the afternoon train, which was still fine. We still would have gotten Chicago with plenty of time. As we were walking into the train station, I see another guy with an AEW shirt, so I two-sweet him and encourage him to sit next to us. Well, as the train takes off, we're about a half an hour into our train ride, and it breaks down in Niles, Michigan. The train conductor came over the speaker and said, "I'm sorry, there's something wrong with the engine. This train's not moving. They have another train coming from Chicago with a whole new engine. You guys can either take the train that's coming from Chicago back to Kalamazoo, or wait until we get the train hooked up with the new engine and take it to Chicago the rest of the way." Well, we would have completely missed the show if we would have taken this option. We couldn't get refunds on any hotel stays or tickets, and so we noticed that there's an Enterprise that's about a 30-minute walk from where the train was in Niles. We're telling the guy, our new wrestling friend, our plan because you cannot leave any fan behind. So we start trekking through this snowstorm to this Enterprise, and I randomly see this guy dusting off a truck. And I look back at my wife and say, "Hey, give me $20. And so she does, and I walk up to this guy and say, "Man, here's $20. Can you please take us to this Enterprise that's like just down the road?" Luckily he does. And the people at Enterprise give us this little Mitsubishi clown car, and we end up driving the rest of the way to Chicago. It's terrifying. There are semis on both sides of us, and amazingly, this little clown car makes it. The guy that we picked up at the train station, his hotel is right next to ours, so we drop him off. Knowing that our transportation would be limited, I booked a hotel right next to the arena. We only missed the entrances from the John Moxley Wheeler Yuta match. The next day, we found out that all of the Amtrak trains were canceled from Chicago to Kalamazoo. So fortunately for us, me, my wife, and our newfound wrestling fan friend had a ride back. And our ride back was a lot smoother because by that time, the roads had cleared and it was nice and sunny.
I related so much to this story as somebody who grew up in Chicago and went to college, university in Western Michigan, at Western Michigan in Kalamazoo. And I remember one specific winter break while going back to Kalamazoo, having to take the Amtrak because the snow was so brutal that it was impossible to get your car there. And people who live around the lake know exactly what I'm talking about, this person included, myself included, and hopefully a couple others listening to this podcast. So I remember having to take the Amtrak, getting dropped off of the Amtrak, having no way to get to our dorms. This was 1998. There were no cell phones. And I think me and my roommate found some random guy to just drive us to the dorms. Like, that's how it was done. You found some random guy, slipped him a 20. We didn't have a 20 at the time. You slipped him a 20 and you got your ride to the Enterprise. The joy in this was the adventure taken to get to see a wrestling show. And your adventure was very much movie-like, including picking somebody up. And you really didn't even get into that story. There's probably a whole other story. Or if that person has that story, I would love for them to call and hear it from their perspective, because that's a wild one too. It shows when you wear that wrestling shirt, it's a secret handshake. It's letting the others know, hey, we're in the same club and take care of me. I'll take care of you. And that's what you said. Leave no wrestling fan behind. And you didn't. A true wrestling adventure. Glad it went well for you. I take for granted sometimes when I'm like, I have to drive 10 minutes to go see a comedy show. 15 minutes, and I got to pay for parking. But I forget about these long, long treks it takes for some people. AEW is not coming to Niles, Michigan anytime soon. So, of course, you got to make the trek down to Chicago. And you did. And it's not always going to go right. And it didn't. And you persevered. And you have a story to tell. Hey, thanks for watching. That call was part of a whole podcast called Wrestling Anonymous. Listen to the whole thing weekly. Wherever you listen to your podcast, go subscribe. And while you're at it, subscribe right here on YouTube to Colt Cabana's channel. Thank you.